Part A, we need to verify that -1 plus square root of 5i is a root of the equation 2x cubed plus x squared plus 6x minus 18 equals 0. If -1 plus square root 5i is a root of the equation, then when we replace x with -1 plus square root 5i on the left, we should end up with a 0. We let x to be -1 plus square root 5i, and then 2x cubed plus x squared plus 6x minus 18. This equals 2. Now we replace x with -1 plus square root 5i. That is raised to the 3 plus x squared -1 plus square root 5i plus 6 -1 plus square root 5i minus 18. This is just a cube here. Recall that when you have a plus b cubed, this is a cubed plus 3a squared b plus 3ab squared plus b cubed, a binomial expansion. So we have -1 cubed plus 3 times -1 squared, square root 5i, plus 3 times -1 square of square root 5i plus square root 5i to the 3. And the square of -1 plus square root 5i is just the square of a binomial. So -1 squared plus 2 times -1 square root 5i plus square root 5i squared. Then we distribute the 6, -6 plus 6 square root 5i minus 18. Now let's look at this expression here in the bracket. For the expression in the bracket, this is -1. This part, -1 square is just 1, is 3 square root 5i. This part is -3 times 5i squared. So that will be -15i squared, which is positive 15, since I squared is -1. This part is 5 square root 5i cubed is I squared times I, which is -i. So this is -5 root 5i. This is just going to be a 1. And we have -2 square root 5i. That is 5i squared. So you have -5. So we have 2 -1 plus 3 square root 5i plus 15 minus 5 square root 5i plus 1 minus 2 square root 5i minus 5 minus 6 plus 6 square root 5i minus 18. Distribute the 2. Never mind, before we distribute the 2, this will give us 14, and that 2, the other 2 here, will be -2 square root 5i. Two times 14 is 28. Then we have -4 square root 5i. After that, let's just group the i's together. -2 square root 5i plus 6 square root 5i. Then we have the numbers plus 1 minus 5 minus 6 minus 18. So that is going to be 6 minus 6 is 0. That is 10 minus 10. So that will give us 0. Therefore, we say that -1 plus square root 5i is a root of the given equation. Part B, we need to find the other roots of this equation. To find the other roots of this equation, we know that one root is -1 plus square root 5i is a root. Then its conjugate must be the second root. Here, -1 minus square root 5i. This will be the second root. Because this is a cubic equation, you should have 3 roots. We use these 2 roots to find the third root for this case here. One of the factors is x minus -1 plus square root 5i. This is one factor. The second factor is x minus -1 minus square root 5i. So this forms a quadratic factor of the equation. So let's look at this part here. We have x plus 1 minus square root 5i, and then we have x plus 1 plus square root 5i. This actually forms a difference of squares. So we have a minus b, a plus b, then that forms x plus 1 square minus the square of square root 5i. And we have x squared plus 2x plus 1. 5i squared is positive 5, so that we have x squared plus 2x plus 6 as the quadratic factor. We need to find the last root of the equation. The equation that we have is cubic, 2x cubed plus x squared plus 6x minus 18. This one has a quadratic factor x squared plus 2x plus 6. You must multiply this by a linear factor. Now look at the coefficient of x cubed. It is 2x cubed. X squared times 2x will give us 2x cubed. And the constant term is -18. We have a 6 here. 6 times -3 will give us -18. So the third root must be 3/2. We set 2x minus 3 to 0, and then we have x equals 3/2. So this is the third root, and that is the second